Seven Footers crew, what is going on? Jenna and Jarod here. You know what it is. How we doing over there, Jarod? Oh, we're coordinating today.
We are. Yes, we're doing well. Enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. How was yours? Did you enjoy your time at home?
Oh my gosh, in the pre-show, we didn't even ask each
We
other this.
didn't
How
even
rude
ask.
of us. It was good. It was so nice to have time at home.
Mhm.
I have two little
I was gonna say,
nieces.
aunt times two.
Right? Oh my gosh. Hopefully they're not listening to me fully. Um, but no, it's so nice because now my niece who's 3, it's just
Right.
like every time I go home, it's like I meet a new person. Like she's just learning and growing. It's fun. She's at a fun age where she like understands things now. I can actually like talk to her and
How
make
how,
her go get me some water or something.
how is she doing with shared attention with a new sibling?
You know what? This is the one thing I can't stop repeating. She is great with it. She
Okay.
loves it. She loves her baby sister. Everything is baby sister. Let me get baby sister this.
Okay.
I tell everybody this, she's so kind. Like,
Okay.
not to
Okay.
sound mean about kids at all, but like some kids are
Kids are
ruthless.
not kind. Kids are not
Kids can
kind.
be ruthless, right? And she is the sweetest little thing. So
Good.
thoughtful, so sweet. What about you? How was your Thanksgiving? Did you
Uh,
stay in New York?
I was across the river in New Jersey at family, so it was good. Nice, relaxing time. Good eats. Good to commune with the fam and
Mhm.
just have a good time. And it was nice because I enjoyed some downtime as well over over the Thanksgiving break. So that it's always good to kind of recharge. And now we head into this mad dash the last 4 weeks of the calendar year. But I'm feeling good.
Right? And I saw this quote the other day, and maybe we can tell this to the NBA teams out there, but however, like who knows? But it was just kind of like we always try to put a lead foot on the gas to finish out the year strong. But like the quote basically was about finishing out the year relaxed, clear headed. And even if that is slowing down to give yourself a breath, you know, just do it. So I'm glad you did get some time off. But these NBA teams out here didn't. And now we're seeing, as you said in the pre-show, we're seeing trends emerge. We're, a quarter way through the season, heading past, and we always say past the Christmas Day mark is
Mhm,
when, shit gets real.
mhm, mhm,
So let's talk about your guys, the Nets. I mean,
mhm.
they're finally at 500. KD is balling. He's currently playing the most minutes in the league right now, next to Kyle Lowry, and he dropped what 45 the other night on
Last
the
night against
Magic.
Orlando, he was ridiculous. Yes.
So let's talk about these Nets. Are they finally figuring it out? Are they finally gelling together after all of the Kyrie saga?
I mean, Jenna, they're doing the best that they can, right? And with that, what I mean is, look, this team is what it is, right? They're not particularly big. They're a little small on the perimeter, right? Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, like these are not big dudes, right? And so they are what they are. And Ben Simmons just went down with the left knee soreness in that
Yeah.
game yesterday against Orlando, and so he'll
Hmm.
be, reevaluated over the next couple of days and we'll see where he's at. But when he goes out, Jenna, you notice how small this team is, right? Like, because Durant, Nick Claxton, and Simmons are their only real big people on the roster. That's it. I mean, Day'Ron Sharp's there, but he doesn't play, right? And then everybody else is small, right? Edmund Sumner, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal. Like, these guys are like, they're fine, but they're like 6'6", 6'5". And then when you get down to Curry, Irving, and something, you're talking about 6'2", 6'1", like 6 foot barely. And when you're playing these alpha predator wings, your Jason Tatum's, Jalen Browns, or when you got these big behemoth guys like Joel Embiid and Giannis, like you got problems because you don't have the size to match up. So that's an issue for this thing that you're seeing. What I will say though, Jen, is you're seeing from the Nets as a team, they finally got themselves back to 500 with that win against the Magic, and they've had the fifth toughest schedule in the league through these 22 games that they've played. And adjusted net rating wise, they're decent, right? They're 12th in the league in adjusted net rating. They're eighth in offense, 19th in defense. And a large part of why their defense is so poor is because they're terrible at rebounding, right? So when they actually have a good defensive sequence and they get a stop, they can't secure the defensive possession by getting the rebound. The other team grabs the offensive board, and it's like, well, now you can't cover for 48 seconds. They're going to score, right? It's just this is their challenge. And so, you know, as you know, as an advocate for blowing this thing up, right? I doubt Sean Marks and Josiah, Sean Marks and GM and Josiah, the owner, will do that. But if they're going to keep this thing going, they have to figure out what they're going to do from a trade standpoint. Can they get some bodies in here? I don't know. Because they need some big bodies. And so that's something to be aware of. And then as much as KD's playing like a top 5 MVP candidate, which he is, he's 34 years and he's playing this is every year he has some kind of soft non-contact injury, right? To soft tissue or a non-contact injury. And KD's my guy. I don't want that to happen, but it's going to happen because it happens. It's happened every year he's been in Brooklyn. And so, or let's say no injury, Jenna, but by the time April gets here, he's exhausted because he had to play a billion minutes for them to be just a decent. This is the problem, right? Overtaxing him so that when you're ready to go, when it's money time in the playoffs, he got no gas. He can't do anything.
Right. And I know KD is KD, and at the end of the day, he's going to be the best player on the floor 9 times out of 10. So, but I just feel like he has yet to be in a situation where like he can just not coast or chill, but like he has to be dropping 35 a night or more, no matter what, or teams aren't contending that he's on.
I mean, think about this, Jenna. That game against the Magic last night, second night of a back-to-back for the Nets and Orlando.
The Magic.
The Magic, the worst team in the league. The Magic were without any of their guards. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, none of those dudes played. Jonathan Isaacs didn't play. Wendell Carter. I mean, you shouldn't need Kevin Durant to play 39 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back and score 45 points to beat the Orlando Magic. But they needed every single one of those points.
And the score was like what? It wasn't like too far gone.
No, I mean, listen, this was a game.
6-point game.
This was a game midway through the fourth quarter. Like this is what I'm saying. Like again, this is not the recipe for long-term success. Right. So as we talked about, quarter of the way mark, what we're seeing that Kevin Durant's still excellent at basketball, but if he has to play 39 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back against the Orlando Magic for you to win that game, that is not sustainable long-term basketball. And this team is not constructed to sustain itself long-term and win at any level come the postseason, which is why, again, I go back to what I said, blow this thing up.
So you still stand by your
100%. 100%.
Oh, okay. We'll see too how, I guess I'm assuming they're being cautionary with Ben Simmons right now, of course, because he's just returning from that back.
Which they have to, Jenna. Like, you gotta remember, this is the most concentrated amount of minutes and games he's played in 18 months. I don't know why people think, oh, you take off basketball for 18 months, come back, you can play 40 minutes a night and be awesome. No, that's not how this works. That. It ain't like that. Like, you have to ramp yourself up. And this is taking some time. And that last note on the Nets, Jenna. Kyrie Irving not playing that well. Like,
where was he yesterday? I mean, yeah, he dropped 20-something, but like, where are you at?
I like to look at things beyond the counting stats, right? Counting stats don't tell you the true story. When you are on the floor, what does your team do? Do they outscore the opponent, or are they generally getting outscored? Kyrie's only a plus 2.5, I want to say, an estimated plus minus, which is fine. But that's like around, I don't know, 45th, 46th in the league. Jenna, that's not great.
And for somebody that I consider the greatest ball handler in the league, personally.
This is my point. When you are someone like Kyrie, who is a max level player, you need to be contributing like a top 10, top 15 performer in the league. And he ain't doing that right now. And so you have one guy who is in Durant, your one max guy, right? Playing the top 5. Kyrie playing top 40. Ben Simmons coming off an 18-month layoff. Barely in the top 100.
That was my fault.
Right? So, I mean, you have 2 max slots that aren't performing at maximum level. This is the challenge this team has. And they have no way to work their way around that. Right? Who are they going to go get to help replace this? So I don't know. This is where we're at. All right, guys, we have a short technical difficulty. So hang tight, and we're going to be right back. Hello.
That
Are you
was
back?
my fault. Oh my goodness, I don't know what happened.
You got knocked off.
Technical difficulties, folks.
Listen, it's the beauty of you have to change the settings, by the way, because I can hear myself in echo. It's
You want me to come back?
just put your, change the speakers, make sure audio is where it is, mic is where it is, all that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't hear myself now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I don't hear myself. Perfectly fine.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
I was basically just saying that the issue is you have this roster designed to have 3 max players.
Hmm.
Only one of those 3 is playing like a max guy. The other 2 are not. Well,
Exactly.
so that because it's a salary cap league, the rest of your roster can't be as good. So they're not performing well because those 2 guys aren't playing up to their levels. Ben, again, we can understand 18 months off, he needs time to ramp back up, and he was starting to get into a groove. Kyrie, problem.
Big problem. Better fix it fast because, again, like we said in the beginning here, we are a quarter way through the season. So now we're seeing these trends emerge. So hopefully it doesn't stick for them. Speaking of max players, let's go over to the West and talk about the Warriors because they're another team that are finally above 500. Steph is playing, of course, like Steph does, MVP caliber. Their starting 5 is killing it. And the second unit, again, they still have that plan to implement them somewhat, but they got to get their reps too. So they're 8th in the West right now, below a couple dumpster fires or so we thought. So what's the deal with the Warriors? How can they kind of climb back up the ladder here?
Look, Stephen Curry is playing incredible basketball right now, Jenna. You mentioned MVP candidate. He is number 1 in the NBA in estimated plus minus by almost 2 full points per 100 possessions. And he is his efficiency splits are 65 effective field goals, 70% true shooting. For those of you that don't know what that means, 65 effective field goal and 70% true shooting is typically numbers you see from big men. Why? Because they score right next to the basket, layups and dunks, right shots in the paint. This is someone who shoots the majority of his shots from 30 feet and beyond, right? With volume. That he is ungodly right now, the level that he's playing at. The starting 5, as we mentioned, their net rating, best top 30 starting 5 in the league. Their issue, Jenna, is who's going to be able to play those minutes when in the playoffs, when Steph and those guys have to get a rest. Who are they? We know the young guys have to get their reps. Kuminga's stepped up a little bit better. James Wiseman's in the G League. DiVincenzo's coming back off injury. The challenge with the Warriors, Jenna, is that their system, the way they play, is not easy to grasp, right? They don't play like how the majority of the NBA plays. The majority of the NBA plays single high pick and roll, right? And it's just look for hunt a mismatch, go to town, kick it out to the open guy, whatever. That's not what the Warriors do, right? They, first of all, they race at like high tempo.
Yeah.
Everybody is moving constantly, and it's read, react. So yeah, they're running picks and screens and rolls and all that, but they're doing it at lightning quick speed, and everybody is moving. And so you have to read and say, "Oh, wait, I'm open. Is that the pass? No, there's a better shot here. Look, someone's wide open for a layup. Steph's coming on that takes time for players to grasp. And so the new guys, it's taking them a little while grasping how to play in that system. The young guys are again getting their reps, they're getting better. Ultimately, Jenna, Curry is playing like an MVP. And Warriors fans, I know, want to be able to win a title again this year because, again, they don't know how many Steph Curry years are going to get like this. He's another one, by the way, playing not a ton of minutes, but playing a lot, high usage rate. We don't want him to get worn down come, April because he's got to drag this team because the rest of them, the bench units, aren't playing well. They have an interesting game tonight against the Mavericks. We'll see how that goes. They should win that. The Mavericks are real suspect, I think.
Yeah.
But, ultimately, it's going to be the Warriors figuring out what to do with that bench. Do they, Jenna, make a trade, trade one of those young guys, a James Wiseman or somebody else, and get a more established star-like level player to pair, right? Or a super six man is like, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. We can play this kind of way when we come off the bench. Who knows? We'll see.
Interesting. You think about the Warriors though, and like to bring in another star, it's got to be a specific star because look at how many stars you have. So what exact role do you need to fill?
Yeah, they're going to need someone who can, and when I say star, I don't mean like Kevin Durant. I mean like, although, look.
Just a name though.
If that works. You want someone who, again, understands the system, right? Can, with that second unit, play and keep the ball moving, right? Not let it get stuck in the ISO ball. Because the Warriors don't do that. Remember, that's not their style of play.
Yeah.
Can you find someone to do that? We'll see. It's not even about a big man or anything, like, because Kevon Looney's playing great. Like, they're all good. Like, it's that you need 7 to 8 guys to win a championship. After those 5, let's start. Who are the next 2, possibly 3, that can spell your guys so that when they're on the bench for a few minutes in the playoffs, you're not down 10 points when they come back, or your lead hasn't evaporated and you're tied? That's the question they're trying to figure out now.
All right. That's all she wrote for the Dubs. Let's stay in the West and talk about the Lakers, though, because now they're finally starting to play a little better. See, if y'all stuck with me, it's going to be all right, kids. All right. They won 5 of their last 7. We got a bloody head by Russ. But now the most recent game that they played blew a 17-point lead in the end there. And I mean, 17 points, come on. And Darvin Ham came out and blamed himself. Now, I'm going to say something that I can't believe I'm saying, but like, nobody's going to say it, but LeBron James isn't shooting well from the outside. So they still don't have shooting depth to begin with. So what is the issue here? We got Pat Bev serving the 3-game suspension. Got no regrets there. He came out on his podcast and said he'd do it again. We're talking about the push heard around the world. And what's the tea? What's the deal here with the Lakers? Because, I mean, again, the dysfunction's high, per usual.
Jenna, the Lakers have a LeBron James problem. Anthony Davis, I want to make note of this. Anthony Davis is playing excellent basketball.
Incredible. Okay, nobody put the target on him.
Top 10 in the league in EPM, estimated plus minus. He's playing excellent on both ends of the floor. 64% true shooting, 58% effective field goal. AD is leading the league in rebound. He is doing his thing.
Because he heard about those trade rumors.
Your man LeBron, on the other hand, this is the worst he shot in his career in terms of since his rookie season, in terms of efficiency. 51% effective field goal, 54% true shooting. That's terrible. Now his counting stats still look good, right? 20-something points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. So yeah, all that looks fine and well and good. And according to estimated plus minus, he is still a positive contributing player. He's a plus 2.1 in EPM. That puts him at around the 88th percentile, which, Jenna, that's good. But that is behind people like Dylan Brooks, Brook Lopez. Like, and no shade to Brook Lopez, by the way, playing elite basketball this season. So this isn't shade to Brook Lopez. But he's behind those players. Derek White, Jared Allen, Domantas Sabonis. All these, LeBron's behind them in terms of impact on the floor. What makes LeBron James arguably the greatest player of all time is that his ability with his play to elevate everyone around him, right? That's what, because he's so excellent, right? Not necessarily like rah kind of thing, but because he's so good, everyone else is just going to be better because I'm this singular force of nature that nobody can stop. I go back to the 2015 finals against the Warriors where they lost in 6. LeBron had no Kyrie, no Kevin Love. And this is the Warriors' first title. So this is without KD. LeBron by himself won basically 2 games and dragged that series to 6 alone. That's how good he is at his peak. Jenna, he ain't that anymore. Like, he's just not. Like, you're not going to be at year 20 or whatever year this is. Like, it's just
20.
Physically, you cannot do it anymore. And the problem is that this team, the rest of you is always, all right, LeBron, shooters, a rim running big, that gets you to an NBA championship. Yes, when he is playing like the best player in the world or top 2, top 3. He ain't playing, Jenna, he's not playing like a top 10 player, top 20. That EPM number has him somewhere in the 40s. This roster with him as a max guy, go back to the Nets situation. Now AD playing like a max guy, cool. You're not designed, and Russ has a max slot, also not playing like a top 5, top 10 guy. Well, you have limited options now on the rest of that roster. And I'll say it again. You mortgaged away the future to bring Anthony Davis here and all your young talent. Okay. You won a title in 2020. Right? Congrats. That's probably the only title you're ever going to win because you have nothing. There's no one else. And I say this all the time, but where would this team be now with Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Contavious Caldwell, you'd be a lot better off, right, with those guys, and even LeBron at this level. But listen, you made the gamble, you won the championship. Cool, kudos. But not happening this season. Even if you get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner,
Right.
you'll be better for sure. Definitely better than they are right now. A championship caliber team? I don't see it. The Lakers, Jenna, defensively, 8th, right? So they're decent on defense. I mean, better than decent, top 10. They're atrocious on offense. 28th in the NBA. I mean,
Really?
yeah, 28th out of 30, folks. It's only 30 teams.
Jesus.
That ain't good. Like, and that's a LeBron James team. This is what I'm talking about. And so now, LeBron coming off injury, Jarod, being too hard, he'll come back and do his thing. He might. Here's what happens the older you get. Sustained excellence is harder to do. Will he have moments this season? For sure. He'll have a 30-something point triple-double. He'll have one of those nights where he's 15 of 18 from the floor. It's going to happen. I promise you. Will it be consistent all season? No. Science and history tells us that's not the case.
Rough go ahead here for the Lakers. All right, let's go over to the East. You know, that's my favorite, guys. Let's talk about the number 1 seed Celtics because, man, the dumpster fire that we thought they were, they are not it. They are not a dumpster fire. They're anything but. They're balling. They're doing so good right now despite their coaching woes and their coaching drama and blah, 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 blah.
It's not even drama anymore. It's over. They're not even thinking about it.
It's over. And, you know, depending on, you know, if they keep up this trajectory, I mean, even if there was a possibility of bringing Ime Udoka back, it's like,
they're not. That's not happening.
Do we need him?
No. He will not be returning to coach the Celtics. That ship has sailed.
So let's talk about it. Through 21 games, I mean, they have the number 1 seed. So can they sustain this with what they're doing now?
They are the number 1 offense in the NBA, Jenna. And, you know, when you have all NBA wings and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that's a good place to start, right? Marcus Smart playing well. Derek White. I mean, you look at the Celtics in terms of estimated plus minus. I mean, you got guys up and down the list. Jason Tatum's up there, right? I mentioned Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. I mean, these guys are playing really, really good basketball. Now, I will say this. Defensively, Jenna, they slipped a little. They're 17th in the league right now in defense, but their number 1 offense is what's carrying them right now. Now, we know no Robert Williams. And I do think if they plan on going back to the finals and winning it, they're going to need Robert Williams on defense. Okay. They don't have him right now, and it's not hurting them. The other thing that's also, and again, you play who you play. The Celtics schedule 14th toughest. So it's about middle of the road. They played a middle of the road schedule. Now, you can't help your schedule. You play whoever's in front of you. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. That's what they've been doing. But you do notice they've had 2 losses to the Cavaliers, right? And the Cavaliers have been able to score with Garland, Mobley, and that Garland and Mitchell in that backcourt, Mobley, Karis LeVert, right? So teams that have a lot of firepower will give them trouble, right? Because they're not guarding right now at the level they were last season. But do I think they'll be around the conference finals, NBA finals when it's all said and done? I do.
Ooh, I like it. Hot take. No, I agree with you. I don't see why not. I mean, if they keep this up. So we'll see. Speaking of those Cavs, they're balling too. 3rd in the East right now.
Love them.
It's really working with Mitchell. All right, let's talk about 2 teams that are personally surprising me. The Nuggets and the Pelicans. I mean, we have the Nuggets 2nd in the West and then Pelicans followed right behind them. So, I mean, are we surprised by this? How strong the Nuggets are coming out so far first?
No, because they have the reigning 2-time MVP in Nikola Jokic. So, I mean,
true,
right? They got Jamal Murray back. They got Michael Porter Jr. back. Bones Highland's playing well. They got the new addition in Bruce Brown, right? I mean, so they're showing some things. One thing that is concerning for me right now about the Nuggets, Jenna, is yes, happy 2nd in the West. Their adjusted net rating is only 15th. They're excellent on offense, fourth best offense in the league. And of course they would be with Nikola Jokic running that whole show. But defense, they're 26th. It's not good. And they played the 24th toughest schedule. So in other words, the 6th easiest schedule in the NBA. So that's not for their defense to be that poor against that level of competition, not great, right? So I'm concerned about them defensively. I thought there would be an opportunity for, with bringing Bruce Brown over, their defense would improve. It hasn't gotten there yet. We'll see if that changed. On the other hand, the Pelicans, third you mentioned, they've had the 19th toughest schedule in the league. So a little bit lower than middle of the road, right? 30 teams, so about 19. But here's where they are, Jenna. They are fourth in adjusted net rating, seventh in adjusted offensive rating, sixth in adjusted defensive rating. One of only 3 teams that are top 10 in offense and defense. The other 2, Phoenix Suns, Cleveland Cavaliers, who you just mentioned. That, to me, is sustainable basketball because they're doing it on both ends. And Zion isn't even, he's another one. Talk about Ben Simmons missing 18 months. He ain't played basketball in a whole year. He's nowhere near the level he's going to be at. He's still ramping and working his way back up. You know, it's funny. Markieff Morris on the net said this the other day when people were asking about Ben Simmons, and he, you know, classic Morris fashion. He was like, "No, it's not surprising me, but and why would y'all understand? Y'all being reporters, y'all don't know anything about this. Y'all ain't never played in the NBA." And he's basically like, "What you think? You're just gonna be off for and come back and be good? No, it takes time to be good in this league. Like you got to get your body right again." So same thing as we mentioned with Ben. Same thing with Zion, right? It's gonna take him a little while. Probably the halfway mark or so, till he starts getting better. And they're already playing this well with him not even at the level he can be at. So I like the trajectory for both of these teams. As I said, I'm worried about Denver defensively. We'll see if they tighten that up, but I like what I'm seeing out of New Orleans.
All right. We shall see if they can sustain this. Let's talk about MVP frontrunners because I've been preaching this whole episode. We're a quarter way through the season. So again, we're seeing these trends. We're seeing players separate themselves into this conversation. We already mentioned KD. We already mentioned Steph. So interestingly enough, what about Luka? Because remember that GM survey we talked about a couple months back that he was the projected pick among the GMs around the league. So what are your thoughts on that now?
Well, look, the Mavericks started off the year hot, right? They've kind of faltered a little bit lately, right? They're under 500. Look, Luka's still excellent and putting up numbers, but the team itself is faltered. They're a game below 500, so they're playing at around the same level now as the Nets who are at 500. The Warriors 1 game above 500. So we're not going to drop Luka out of the MVP discussion because Steph and Durant are in there, and their teams are not running away with it. But you know that Mavericks team, Jenna, I don't love the construction. Right? It is you have Luka doing his thing. Who else is doing anything else? You know, that worries me. Hold on one second. I gotta check something. Be right back. Live stuff, folks.
You know what's up, guys. You know what's up.
No problem. I was hearing things. No, so that they just signed Kemba Walker. But like, Jenna, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't move the needle for me. Like Kemba was out of the league for a reason and not signed, right? Like I don't know how good he's going to be. And are you going to run a system that is less heliocentric and Luka dependent? I don't know. Right. So, yeah, Luka's in the MVP discussion, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing from this Mavericks team. Other players in this MVP discussion. Look, the Celtics are the number 1 team in the East, record wise, or actually league wide. Jason Tatum's got to be in the discussion. Giannis has got to be in the discussion. Right. And of course, the number 2 team in the West, the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic is up there. Right. So those are the people to me right now who are leading the MVP discussions. Again, only a quarter of the way through the season. We'll see what happens as time goes on.
Heck yes, we shall see. And again, it's only going to get better because, like you said, we're starting to see different things emerge and teams kind of come out of the woodwork here and surprise us. So that's what I love the most. But I mean, hey, that's all the stuff we have. But, you know, we got a couple little news and notes here. You know, a little congratulations to Billy Donovan, who's been extended by the Bulls. You know, he took them to playoffs after a little drought there. So congrats to him. We got Cat out with a calf strain.
Yeah, Minnesota. We didn't talk about them, but that's a team that, Jenna, the vibes are not great in Mini.
Yeah, what's going on? It seems like there's a little disconnect in this roster.
22nd on offense, 22nd on defense. Like I just a team with Rudy Gobert to be 22nd on defense, like that's something's not going well there. I don't know how long head coach Chris Finch is long for that job. It's just something's not right. Look, the Rudy Gobert trade was a gamble on Anthony Edwards being that dude. I'm not seeing it yet. Yeah, Ant's a cool highlight man and all that, but he is not quite learning yet how to play with a person like Rudy Gobert. Now it'll take some time. We'll see. Again, only a quarter of the way through, but they're not positive signs in Minnesota right now, Jenna.
No, not positive at all. Again, disconnect there, which is interesting too with that addition of Rudy because he was traded for what? 5? Was it 5 first rounders? Am
Yeah,
I dreaming? Three first rounders.
three picks and 2 swaps, I believe. So
Yeah,
5 like
okay.
total
Yeah, 5
draft.
total. But still, I mean, like a big gamble there. So
Yeah, it's listen, it is what it is. Like again, quarter of the way, don't want to lose your mind. Remember, the Celtics at this time last year were either 500 or a game under, and they went to the NBA Finals. Now, Celtics also had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? So that helps. We'll see.
we will see. All right, guys, make sure you stick with us here. Weekly 7-Footers podcast. We are always here for you guys in the NBA know. Jarod, tell them where they can find us.
As always, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all that at 7-Footers Pod on Twitter, at 7-Footers Podcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli. And until next time, everybody, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true.